Hey all, welcome back to the channel. It's Monday, that means it's countdown day around these parts, and this time is an interesting one, and the voting was super interesting. This is the top 10 Transformers threats / enemies that are not Decepticons. And trust me, the voting went a lot differently than what I necessarily anticipated. That's going to be our focus this time around in the latest GotBot Counts Down. Hey all, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, your most humble of hosts, Dennis Moulton, aka GotBot. As always, man, please like, comment, share, of course, subscribe, and while you're at it, light 'em up, baby. Hit that notification bell, please. It helps me out a ton, and it lets you know when content of all sorts goes up here on the channel. Check out Machinery of Man, The Everything Factor, all the groups that I'm either a mod or an admin for, as well as all of my social media links, all that in the description down below. Also in the description down below, and if you're in a position to help the channel to grow, you can check out the donate link. You can check us out on Patreon, see what we have to offer to you through spring, or of course you can hit the join button right here on YouTube at any time and become a channel member. And like I said, this is the top 10 Transformers, I guess, enemies / threats that are not Decepticons. Because you know what? What is in opposition to Transformers is not always Decepticons. They're not always the bad guys, man. Now, of course, as everybody knows, this is based solely on fan votes, and this one was kind of all over the map. It was very interesting how people interpreted it, and I would even encourage you to stick around after we get through number 1, because some of the ones I'm going to mention after are also extremely, extremely interesting. Our honorable mentions, we only have 2 this time, and the 2 honorable mentions, one is G-Axis. Now, I know what you're thinking. Some people, and a lot of people had debate about this in the comment sections, said, well, G-Axis is a G2 Decepticon. And while he has the G2 insignia, apparently that's also the insignia of the Cybertronian Empire, and in essence he is the leader of the Cybertronian Empire, and sees the Autobots and Decepticons as throwbacks to a war that, well, it's not his war because they've evolved from there. So I thought that was interesting, and a bunch of people felt the same way and said, no man, he's not a Decepticon, he is the leader of the Cybertronian Empire, and his disdain is for Autobot and Decepticon alike, pardon me. The second honorable mention is not even a Transformer at all, it is a G.I. Joe. It is, in fact, Cobra Commander, who in the Transformers universe is better known as Old Snake. And of course he was in one episode, but everybody knew that it was Cobra Commander, right? Everybody knew it was Cobra Commander. They are the honorable mentions. Neither of them made the list. Wait till you see this list, man. So we're going to kick things off as we always do with number 10 first. Coming in at number 10 for Transformers enemies threats that are not Decepticons is, I can't believe I'm about to say this, Michael Bay. Enough voters said that Bay was an enemy of Transformers. Now, it's so strange. I get it. There's a bunch of people that don't like the movies. You were not going to get what G1 was in the films. Not for a big budget film. You just weren't going to get it. Do I think Michael Bay should have done more homework for the franchise and know the characters and know the personalities and know the look? Absolutely. Do I think that since then we have had kind of movie-stylized interpretations of G1 characters done more successfully? Absolutely. However, though a lot of people would say, oh, he's an enemy to Transformers and everything I loved, let's be realistic here. We would not be sitting here, we would not be having this conversation, we would not be hearkening back to our childhood if Transformers wasn't brought back roaring into the mainstream, in no small part because of the live-action films. Because guess what? As much as I love Beast Wars, it was not super mainstream, not like G1 was. R.I.D. and Unicron Trilogy, absolutely not mainstream. It was quite literally for the kids, not for fans of all ages. It wasn't. It didn't resonate that way. Animated is brilliant. Fantastic. But that occurred really in conjunction with this same time period. And as much as I love Prime, I don't think we would have had Prime or anything since if the franchise wasn't absolutely reinvigorated because of Michael Bay and what he did with the live action films. Are they masterpiece works of art? No. But they're not supposed to be. All I've ever cared about is seeing great big robots having fights. Worked for me. Those who criticize it, I get it, man. I understand. It's not what you grew up with and it's not what you know and love. But a lot of people do know and love this. It's a hard one. However, the votes don't lie and the voters don't lie. And enough of them felt that Michael Bay is an enemy of Transformers that it was able to take the number 10 slot. Coming in at number 9, and I promise after this it gets a little more typical for what we would expect on the countdown. But coming in at number 9 as biggest threat enemy of Transformers is Hasbro. And I can't argue it. I have been extremely critical for 3 or 4 years now, and I used to be a huge defender. So I've gone from being defender to hypercritical because I think there's been a lot of bad business and a lot of bad business choices. I've talked about that other times in other places. Most recently, it has been evidenced by a fall, a low, a 5-year low in their stock market prices, and a overall company value loss of $3 billion. Bringing them down to $9 billion. And still they have to do things like crowdfunding, and they have to try and get into the retail market. There's a lot of issues there. This isn't the place to discuss that. However, a lot of fans are feeling disgruntled and feeling like they're not getting the best quality products for the most competitive prices. A lot of them are saying we have the yellowing issue, we have misassembly issues, we have poor QC, we have like poor molding. Look at the A Hero Was Born 2-pack. There's been so many issues with that. I get it. Enough fans feel disgruntled enough that they actually feel like, and I can't believe I'm saying it, that Hasbro is an enemy of their very own franchise. Enough of them feel that way that it was able to take the number 9 slot. Coming in at number 8, we have something that isn't even a character at all. It's an affliction, and it's Cosmic Rust. Yes, absolutely a major threat going all the way back to G1. And there, I mean, we ended up getting to a point where Megatron had it, and he even sought out Perceptor to find a cure for it. Now, I mean, it worked out, but, you know, it was getting worse, and it was getting worse, and it was getting worse. Plus, it's something that's contagious and can spread. We perhaps saw it most viciously in the Cyberverse series, when it pretty much destroyed all of the planet Velocitron and the character of Blur. It was a very dark, unexpected episode within Cyberverse, but it did show just how dangerous the disease of Cosmic Rust can be. Absolute threat to Transformers, and it was able to take the number 8 slot. Coming in at number 7, we have something that kind of starts out being cute, but it doesn't get so cute when it starts taking all the power and growing. I'm talking about Kremzeek. Yes, indeed, Kremzeek. You see it and you're like, oh, that's a little spark thing. Ah, that's kind of cute. But the aftermath of that entire episode was not cute. And he became a major threat to all Transformers. I would say, had he been left unchecked, he could have been a major threat to all of the planet Earth. Maybe even beyond. Nevertheless, good old Kremzeek. You know, he is that epitome in Transformers of the creature that starts out kind of cute or kind of harmless and becomes something more. You know, it's the Transformers take on Tribbles. It's the Transformers take on Gremlins. It's Kremzeek, and he took the number 7 slot. Coming in at number 6, we have, this is a dark one, Humans. Now, the reason that I'm using the Core 86 Spike here, who I use as Daniel actually, but the reason I'm using him is because I really don't have any other human characters here. However, humans in general, and to be fair, there were a number that kind of got put together in this one. Like, there were votes for Cemetery Wayne, there were votes for Kelsey Grammer's character, there were votes for even Agent Simmons, there were votes for John Cena's Agent Burns. I mean, you know, he said that there's a door in his way, and he blew it up. Humans got to destroy everything they touch, including alien robots. It goes back. Sean Berger. Who else would be listed there as a human? Hold on, I had a few written down. Silas, and you know, Nest, right? Sean Berger, Victor Draith, another one, right? So, like, it goes on and on. Even Optimus Prime was, you know, hunted by a big game hunter. Humans, one of the biggest threats to giant alien robots. Enough fans felt that way that humans in general took the number 6 slot. And here we are once again at the most coveted of locations, the halfway mark. And at the halfway mark, well, you know what? One line says it all. If you see my face, you're dead. Lockdown, baby. Most of the votes were for the Age of Extinction lockdown. However, some did vote for the Transformers animated lockdown, even though he often is depicted with a Decepticon insignia. We all know that he is not Decepticon affiliated. Maybe a former Decepticon at best. But yeah, lockdown. He's a bounty hunter. He is, you know, offering his services. He's an assassin. He offers his services to the highest bidder. Whether that's Autobot, whether that's Decepticon, whether that's human, it doesn't matter to lockdown, just as long as he's getting paid. Not to mention, he's able to have his own army of forces that he really sort of made himself. Why not? You know what? He had a ton of power in the film. He had a ton of power in animated. And he did whatever he wanted with it. And that is the mark of a heck of a threat. Enough fans felt that way that lockdown took the number 5 slot. Coming in at number 4 is the Transformers' perhaps closest thing to a flesh-eating disease by way of these scraplets. I mean, these things are terrifying, whether it's back in the days of Marvel and that run, or whether we're talking about Transformers Prime, or really anything since. When you see scraplets, as cute as they are, we all know that when they go down and the jaws open, we know that that's terrifying. Look at Bulkhead from Prime. He is scared to death of these things. And they don't seem like a major threat until they start munching. They're like the Transformers on-land version of Piranha. And I don't think any of us would like to encounter Piranha up close and personal. Scraplets took the number 4 slot. Coming in at number 3 is another non-character threat by way of the Hate Plague spores. Those spores that were developed really toward the very end of Season 3 of G1. And you know what? It spread like that. It took nothing. It was super duper contagious. And, you know, those who tried to escape it were far and few between. I mean, it infected everyone, and it just made them absolutely rage. The whole idea was that the hate plague would cause them to destroy each other and destroy themselves. And that was the revenge that was being sought against Transformers. It took the return of Optimus Prime himself to be the thing that would stop it. Whether you agree with Optimus Prime being the reason it stopped or not is irrelevant, because that's the way it was written and that's what happened. It does often make me wonder, though, had that Quintesson not succeeded, had Skylinks not been there, would Optimus Prime, and had Optimus Prime not been resurrected the way he was, who would have stopped it? Would it have been stopped? Or would the Transformers have absolutely imploded and destroyed themselves as a species? I guess we'll never know what could have been. But the fact that that threat of implosion of an entire species because of the hate plague spores exists, it has to take the number 3 slot. Coming in at number 2, we have the Grand Manipulators and the Grand Deceivers, the Quintessons, an absolute threat. They manipulated the entire species. In some universes, they are considered the creators. In others, they are considered not the creators, but that they came in with a young species and manipulated them to the point where that species believed they were the creators. They also, take, I guess, joy, if you will, in their entertainment. That being really their mock trials where everyone is going to be sentenced to be fed to the Sharkticons. They command armies by way of the Sharkticons and the Alicons. They have the Bailiff. They have a tremendous force. They have a lot of intellect. They have a lot of business connections. They have a lot of firepower. They have an army at their command. The Quintessons are always lurking. The Quintessons are always dangerous. And in a couple of cases, most notably within the War for Cybertron trilogy with Decius, when one of them goes absolutely insane, what comes after is vicious, brutal, and an absolute threat. The Quintessons, whether it's one or whether it's all of them, they take the number 2 slot. And here we are at number 1. And number 1 is none other than the Transformers God-level threat by way of Unicron. Yeah, remember this guy? Remember this Deluxe Class Unicron? How often do I get to pull him out? Now, Studio Cell is also here over my shoulder. It doesn't matter whether Unicron is inside the planet Earth and is awakened, whether he's this deluxe guy who's a ship, whether he's Studio Cell, whether it's the big HasLab one, whether it's the, the Singularity associated with the black hole from Cybertron, or I guess all of Unicron trilogy. The fact he has a trilogy named after him, just his name sends shivers up spines. Just his mere mention is terrifying. Just seeing an image of him in any of his forms makes the blood run cold, or the energon run cold. God level threat to all Transformers, to their existence, to their homeworld, to their God Primus. He is the essence of the devil when it comes to the Transformers universe, and for that reason, Unicron has to take the #1 slot. There you go, 10 down to 1 of the biggest threats to Transformers. Some of them enemies, threats, enemies, and I wanted to include both. I wanted to leave it open just to see what would happen. Pardon me, what would happen? Other ones that got votes, and I said to stick around for this because there are some great ones here that honestly, like, they all deserve a spot on the list. The Sparkless Seekers, the Sparkless Bots got votes because zombies. Devil Z, who did lead the Decepticons and really took over Black Zarek's body, but in essence, he is just like this alien form that was like, hey, those robots need a leader, I'll do it. Tornadron, or Tornidron? I can't remember what it was called. It was the energy monster thing that Primacron made that was destroying planets. It was like, you know, the next thing after Unicron, because fun fact, in G1, Primacron made Unicron. And when that didn't really work, he made a full energy being, and the thing that stopped it was Grimlock when he hit the reverse button. It was the corniest thing. Call the Primitives, man. What a great episode. Huffer, because of his negativity. The Animalians, I'm going to call them. The animal aliens, the things that were in the Gambler. Nova Prime in some universes, the Fallen. G.I. Joe, I like this one. Licensing and copyright issues. Spider-Man, that has to be from the Marvel run. The Black Hole, that was, you know, the threat to our worlds that need to be saved, right, in Cybertron. What else do we have here? Low sales of junk lines. That was a funny one. Six Shot, I thought that was strange. I guess some people say like he's loosely associated. He was Daniel's best friend. He did wear Decepticon insignia though, so I think that one's a bit iffy. Same with Overlord. I get it. Overlord has his own business. Like look at him in the Titans Return portion of the Prime Wars trilogy. Like he did what he wanted. He didn't care about the Decepticons. He did what he wanted. I get it. Officially, he's a Decepticon, but again, it's one of those like loose associations. We also had Torque. That was when I think the computer on the base of the Decepticons, or in the base of the Decepticons, like got sentience. The Morphobots, Yellowing, Optimus Prime and his ego. I liked that one. Rodimus Prime's insecurity. Pharma, very dangerous one. Hot Rod, Primacron himself, Circuit Breaker from the Marvel run, absolutely Circuit Breaker. Angry Wives. Angry Wives, I like that one too. Quintessa from The Last Night. Sharkticons. The Sea of Rust, I thought that was an interesting one. Death's Head is a good one. What about their own weaknesses? That was a weird one. Beast Wars Megatron, because he's not a Decepticon. I get it. It's a bit... I think you're splitting hairs between Decepticon and Predacon, but I get it. And honestly, he was a major threat. There's no doubt about it. The Swarm. Animated Roadmaster. Animated Headmaster. Roadmaster. Animated Headmaster. War for Cybertron. Sound Blaster, who led those mercenaries. Who else? The Vok from Beast Wars, interesting one. And for some reason, somebody voted for Joe Biden. Go figure. I don't know. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that's it. We've got from 10 down to 1, and we had a bunch more on top of that, and it was interesting voting. I appreciate you guys coming by, giving me some of your extremely valuable time. I do know how important it is to you. If you're in a position to help the channel to grow, you can use the donate link. Check us out on Patreon. See what we have to offer to you through Spring, or of course, hit the join button right here on YouTube, and become a channel member at any given time. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, stick around and have some fun with us, and especially don't forget that somehow, some way, man, each and every single solitary day, you right there, you do make a difference in the world. And I look forward to the next time that you and I get together to have another visit, either in the live streams on Thursday nights at the stop motion premieres, or the old fashioned way right here inside the videos.